Hi guys, just in for a swim, and look at this is a beautiful evening. Look at that. Oh. The other fella's doing his break dancing. Oh, good boy. Oh, beach we haven't been to in a while. It's lovely down here. Just hear the waves crashing, it sounds amazing. Oh. But yeah, I was just talking about the Shawn Ryan Show. Shawn Ryan being a... Sorry, I have to show you. Oh, that's beautiful. Shawn Ryan is a former US Navy SEAL. He seems like a really good guy as well. He had Jim Caviezel on before. Jim Caviezel plays Jesus Christ in The Passion of Christ, and it was very interesting. Shawn Ryan's someone who found religion again, and religion's always been a tricky thing for me, you know. You know, like it's always something I wanted to believe in, but like you say, it was never exactly instilled in me, you know. There was a lot of misery that went hand in hand with it. But I think there's a really good one that Shawn Ryan did lately with Father Dan Rehill. I think that's his name anyway. I think it's Rehill. And he's a Catholic priest and exorcist. And very good interview so far. I haven't finished it. It's like it's nearly 3 hours, and that's what I like. I like in-depth interviews and videos. I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, don't have the attention span for it in this TikTok age that we live in. You know, where everything's instant and really quick. But I think there's a lot to be said for you know, like a good long interview where you have to pay attention, and sometimes I don't have the time and I'll get back to it later on. But hearing him talking really got me thinking there, Father Dan. And what I like about Shawn Ryan is how, I mean, he's obviously a tough son of a bitch. Like, being a Navy SEAL, you've got to be. I love how Shawn Ryan's so down to earth, you know, and he really takes an interest. Because it'd be very easy for someone like him to go, I could kill you with one punch or whatever, but and I mean, I've no doubt he could. The man's a machine. But he really makes an effort to get to know everyone and takes a real interest in it. I know he's found religion, and he nearly 3 years sober. Because I mean, when you get out of the army, I don't know what that's like. I've a mate in the army, as I say, but it's not something I would ever say or, you know, speak to, because I don't know. And fair fucks to anyone who has the balls to do it. But he was talking to Father Dan about finding religion again and being a lapsed Catholic, if you like. And I think of myself in that way. And I guess a lot of people are, because of the scandals of the church. It's hard to ignore. Of course it is. That's fair enough. I completely understand anyone like that, because it's not as if Arnhem was so great with the church, but I think it's no coincidence that everyone is fucking miserable nowadays and mental illness is through the roof. I think that directly corresponds with the amount of atheists out there. You can tell me I'm wrong, you know, but I mean, you don't have to believe religion if you don't want to, you know. That's fine. That's your choice. But I think without faith, he's just falling down. He's exploring. Yeah. I had to be back on the beach doing another video, but swim was amazing. Water is still quite cold, but man, does it feel good when you get out. But I mean, just getting to the point, I think people without faith are inevitably going to be more prone to depression, misery, and I think one thing that the church did bring was respect. I was only talking to my mum and my dad. Like, my dad grew up in, old council houses, and the idea behind them was that you would eventually buy them, own them, and then that would be your house, you know what I mean? Now you see people in high-rise council flats, and they've no respect for anything. They look real shitty, corporation houses. You see kids going around doing whatever the fuck they want, no respect for anyone. And I asked my mum, I said, that wasn't always the case, surely? She said, no, it wasn't. But eventually what happened was you had too many people in on top of each other with no incentive to buy, Because imagine you tell people who live in a house that are poor, eventually you guys could buy this house and own it outright, you have something to work towards. And I think that, combined with the fact that people don't have faith in religion anymore, at least Catholicism, given all the abuses of the church. I mean, it is going to lead to more misery, isn't it? And just saying, like, here's a question that's probably going to make me sound a bit insane. Does the devil walk among us more now than ever? Or now more than ever? And you could say I'm insane, or, just blow me off and whatever. Go, what the fuck is he talking about? But hear me out. Look at what's happening in the world right now and tell me that it's not quite an evil fucking place to live. Sure, yeah, it was always evil. And I don't deny that we've got more proof now. Yeah, of course we fucking do. Social media can be a very negative thing, but can also shine a light on, some of the less fortunate in society. But I just think with religion, people have a shared belief, like a shared community. You've got a shared set of values, you know what I mean? You might not necessarily even like a person, but you share the same religion, you kind of have a belief system. You've respect, you've respect for the local priest, respect for the local guards and the local police, like wherever you happen to be. You play for the local GA team, rugby team, whatever it happens to be. Systems are very important. And I think the church was a massive one in Ireland in particular, so I'll speak to that. And listening to Father Dan talking to Shawn Ryan, he was abused. And if you watch the interview, it's a very good interview. I'll let you know when I finish it, but I think he makes a lot of really good points. He really says what's going on in the world now, what happened to him. And he turned away from the church because he was actually abused. And he doesn't defend the church. He says bishops moved these priests around. They should have done more. They could have prevented this. Me and 17 other boys in this parish alone were abused. And he's not biased at all. But one thing I always had, even when I stopped going to Mass, was a belief in God and Jesus, I mean, you could easily say, well, what about all the suffering in the world? Couldn't he stop that? But if anyone's ever read the Bible and studied religion, and I talk about that in another video which caused a lot of controversy, listen to me. But it did. Like, Jesus, shouldn't use the Lord's name in vain, I'm sorry. But it did, like, it really got people talking, and everybody keeps saying to me, if you're getting haters, you're doing something right. And I made a video thanking my haters recently. Obviously I'm doing something right. And look, I'm not going to win everyone over. I know that. That's inevitable, You're not going to please everyone. I'm perfectly willing to accept that. But I think a great point to make is that people have less respect for stuff nowadays. People have so much apathy. And then that's another thing that they brought up. And I thought it was a brilliant saying. They said, he said, what's the difference? He was asked the question, what's the difference between ignorance and apathy? And your man, the irony of it was, I don't know and I don't care. It's like, exactly. Ignorance is not knowing something, right? I'm ignorant of it, I don't know about it. Apathy is knowing about it, but just not giving a shit, you know? How many young people, and I'm talking about people of my age, are like that? Because here's the funny thing, like, I know I'm apathetic about a lot of things, and I wish I wasn't, but I can't stop it, you know what I mean? And I think having a belief system is something that you've got to have, because if you don't have that, then what do you have? And I do believe in God and I believe in Jesus, but I also have to believe in evil out there. Might say that I'm a bit wacky, yeah, fine, whatever. That's your choice. You can say I'm wacky. I'm just saying what I believe. Free to express yourself however you want. If you don't believe in anything, fine. But I just think it's a sad world if you don't believe in anything. And I've met people that don't believe in anything, that are like, I believe in treating people right. And good on you, yeah. Because I'm not denying, particularly in Ireland, religion has been used to divide people. I was only talking about the north of Ireland, you know. And I've played rugby with so many good Protestant lads, and I thought it actually brought us together. And being staunchly religious, like on either end, has actually divided people. But if you ask me, those guys aren't following the teachings of God. And so that's why I kind of choose not to be staunch either way. Like, I've got family like from Armagh that were in the Republican Army, you know, the old IRA, the good IRA, if you like. But that's neither here nor there. Like, back when it started, back when it was actually, you know, fighting for independence, and they had a purpose. Not what it's become today, but I also have Belfast Protestant family, you know, way back. And then my great grandfather was a Protestant from Belfast and a you know, a wealthy farmer. But because he married a Catholic girl, he was completely disowned by the family, you know. So you just think, do you want that? And fair play to him for sticking with love. It's quite a romantic story, actually. But look, religion can be used to divide, and it is quite often. But that's why I choose to believe in God. And I mean, I talk about that incident where I tried to end my own life, jumping in front of a car. I believe a divine intervention happened there. Like, not only was I not killed, no injuries. And like, you hear people who jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, which is sad, but a lot of people do it. And they're left with life-altering injuries, but they appreciate life so much more, and they regret doing it. I'm so grateful, and I know someone intervened. The amount of incidents where I just said a prayer to God, and I was fine, when I had no idea what I was doing, where I was going. Like, when I was drinking an awful lot and out of control, I used to just end up anywhere, didn't know where the fuck I was. My phone had died, and somehow I managed to get home and I was fine. Said a prayer and it was answered. It's little things, you know. And I don't blame God for things that happen in life. Bad shit happens, you know. That's not his fault. How many of us give in to temptation? Like, if you actually read the Bible, that's what the devil is. It's everyday temptation that we give in to. And we're creatures of sin. Like, at the end of the day, we're not going to be perfect. Like, we don't have to be all pious and holier than thou, but just help out our fellow man when we can, you know what I mean? Like, I've said it before, people treat me like shit, I'm going to treat them like shit, which isn't the way, you know. Like, they say turn the other cheek, you know. I'm kind of not up for that, and I guess you can cherry pick. I believe in treating people nicely, helping people out where you can, That doesn't mean, though, that I'm going to forgive people if they treat me poorly. So I guess, yeah, I am cherry-picking little bits, but I'm certainly not going to blame God for my shortcomings. You know what I mean? It's a very easy thing to do. And I certainly think that when I have called out before, I've been helped. And I pray at home. Because I think a lot of the Catholic Church are just hypocrites. You know? You don't know who has abused children up on that altar. That's the matter of fact, you know. Any one of them could, because they were just, a blind eye was turned. But don't blame God for the sins of man. You know. To live is to suffer, some people say. But I genuinely feel like, had it not been for my belief in God and a higher power, I wouldn't be here, you know. I would have tried again and again. And plus I have that old belief, and I've developed it, that suicide is a sin. Because, look, I know that sounds harsh, and from someone who's actually attempted it, it's a bit hypocritical, I get that. But the way I think of it now is, you've been given this life, you know. You've been blessed with this life. And to try and end it by yourself. You know, I never self-harmed. You know, I used to hit myself in the face to get myself psyched up. Or, well, I guess I did. I burnt my hand or whatever and tied stuff around me. So I never self-harmed in the traditional way, if you like. But, you know, cutting and whatever. But I remember just wanting everything to end and to rip my skin off and all this stuff. To go to sleep and never wake up. I think you have to see a point to everything you do. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't see a point to anything, you don't believe in anything, you just think, when I die, that's it. It's quite a fucking miserable existence. You know? And we like to think, oh, well, science has disproven maybe science and religion should actually work together. I mean, science proved that Jesus was a real person because they found his remains, you know, his bones and all. Everyone's too divided rather than actually working together. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, there's all that shit of religion calling science witchcraft, when in reality, like, it's great, it's brilliant. But there's just so many greedy people out there. Like, and I was talking about it, you look at the fucking bushfires in California. People care more about fucking diversity and all this bullshit than they actually do about saving people's lives. They were warned well in advance. Gavin Newsom and, you know, all these others. The mayor of California, who seems to, there's the governor of California, which is Gavin Newsom, and you've got the mayor of LA, Cass, isn't that her name? What a gobshite. The pair of them are idiots by the looks of it, you know. She's off on a fucking trip to Ghana when she was warned that this shit was going to get really bad. She couldn't have cared less. Gavin Newsom seems to care more about getting his fucking hair looking right than actually saving people and looking after people. They all seem like they're delighted with this. You can hear a joy in Gavin Newsom's voice when he's talking about it. I just think how fucking evil some of these people are. And I really think to myself, these people don't have any faith, you know. They're all fucking evil. They've all let the devil into their lives. They must have done. How do you explain it? How do you explain the suffering that's allowed to go on when people can prevent it? Because, like, I know people, and I've said it already, but people turn away from God when they see children suffering. And I mean, I understand, you know. When your 2-year-old child dies, you think to yourself, there can't be a God if that happens. And look, I've no argument to that. Because I can't imagine what that's like. And I wish it never happens to anyone. And sadly, I don't have that power, you know. It's a terrible thing. But I think when people have the power to stop something like that from happening with the fires, and they choose not to, and they cut funding, it's something like 49 million they cut. You've got to ask some serious questions. And then all these fuckers giving themselves a pay increase when people are suffering and homeless, or about to be, you know. I think if you had a system where you felt like you were being held accountable by a higher power, you treat your fellow man better. So I think a lot of people have let the devil into their lives. They've accepted it, you know. The temptation is there, the greed and the corruption. Well, I know when my final days do come, I would like to be thought of as someone who looked out for people, you know, who looked after the little man, who didn't just care about a fucking quick buck, a shiny penny. I'd like to think so anyway. There's a lot of fucking evil in the world, but there's a lot of good as well. Just the good people need to rise up, you know. There's a lot of bad shit happening, but look, have faith in something, guys. Believe in a system. Need some faith now anyway. God knows there's enough hopeless people out there who are apathetic and miserable and ignorant. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. Gonna enjoy the scenery. I'll leave it on this. Alright.